All right, we're recording. All right, thanks for coming, you guys. It is our final mastermind for the fast track to freedom. So a great opportunity for us to kind of celebrate what's going well. And we've got about a week. What do we have? About a week left on this? You could, yeah. So this will be our final meeting with it. But would love to hear from you guys because you guys are the diehards. You're here, right? You're consistent. You're doing the thing. So we'd just love to hear from you. Maybe what you've learned through this experience, what's working well, what are you going to continue after the 30 days?
Okay, so full confession. I love that you think I'm being consistent. I am consistent in some things. So, and then yesterday happened. I don't know what happened, but I didn't do the post between 4 and 6. I mean, it's fine. I just will adjust to today, but it was all set. Didn't set my alarm, whatever. And I'm still struggling with the 5 new friends and the keeping up with the conversations. And I've kind of given myself permission to relax from that. I don't know if that's the best way to approach that, but it was definitely an overwhelming feeling trying to do that every day. So I don't know if anybody has any ideas about that.
Gentle with yourself.
And it's a fine line. I think that something like this, it stretches us and it pushes us to an uncomfortable, and usually growth is uncomfortable. So sometimes doing things when we don't want to do them, when we don't feel like it, get out of our comfort zone, that's often where the breakthrough, the fast track, right, where it can happen. But there's that delicate balance, is that if it's shutting you down, if you're not showing up effectively, et cetera, then letting it pause for a day or two, but then picking up again is important. So like if you miss that post between 4 and 6, no big deal. We all drop a plate now and then, throw it up now, and let's keep moving forward, would be my feeling on it. Other thoughts? It's a mastermind, so it's group coaching.
To that point a little bit, what is the plan, or is there one? Is this like where we're supposed to just start over on day 1 next month, or is this just to be seen like a 30-day challenge? Not that you leave social media completely, but what is the follow-up on something like this? Does anyone know?
I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. I mean, I'm encouraging coaches to go back and just continue through it until it becomes almost ingrained. You know what I'm saying? As far as connecting with people and continuing to grow your network, because we always meet new people. We always are having opportunities to have conversations. So that's such a big part of it. And posting, we know, is a big part of it. So I think we just continue to do it until it's a practice that we're just used to. I mean, habit. Yeah, it's a habit. And I know Dee's got a fantastic habit as far as posting, and she's just in her routine. So again, I think that's kind of where directionally we need to go. I love the fact that it's out there for new coaches. I really do. It's like, okay, do this, just follow that. And again, to Vicky's point though, don't stress about it, right? It's something to be worked up to over time. I'm far from perfect as far as doing it. So
yeah, I think it's going to be up to the individual what your growth plans are. The biggest thing I learned through this was that I started to become masterful in my post, but I was not doing the harder work of creating new contacts and creating conversations. And that's where the magic happens. And honestly, it showed in my business as well. Because over time, you do this year after year, you know what I mean? You can show up as a brand expert, but again, you got to be continually increasing your audience and whatnot. So I think the keys would be, do you have to post between 4 and 6 p.m.? You know what I mean? Next month, like, is that as important as continuing the 5 new friends and the conversations, and then consistent posting, but it might look what you want it to be. Learning what we've learned, that engagement posts are very powerful. It's got to have one of those a couple times a week,
So not necessarily following their pattern of posts, as much as focusing more on adding the clients and engaging in conversations. Am I hearing that correctly? That yes, keep
Depends
posting.
on the individual. Some of us need to know. One of the biggest struggles I
Mhm.
find with coaches is not knowing what to post. And if we don't feel confident in our skills of knowing what to post or learning to trust our intuition and that sort of thing, then I say follow the script. Again, just go through it another 30 days. If you feel like you need to ingrain that and get better at it. If you feel like, I kind of know what I'm doing with posting, but man, I need to be consistent with those two things. But I think having a process every day is important.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, because they have a great they have a great script as far as here's your engagement post, here's your inspirational post, that kind of stuff. And full disclosure, we don't know if it's perfect, right? We think this works well, and it does bring about more engagement, more conversations, more people into our world. But again, a couple months from now, there could be a better mousetrap, right? We just know that this mousetrap right now appears to work for us from that standpoint. So
I talk back to Dee's kind of reference is structure so important for me, that structural attention. And I had a lengthy dermatology appointment yesterday where I go and I have to sit and marinate's what I call it for a treatment they do on my pre-cancers. And I spent that time and went through my next 30 days and put in a specific time in my calendar, and I set it up for the whole next year to repeat. And then I went back on days that had 31 days or were holidays like New Year's or Memorial Day or Labor Day and certain things, and changed that over to put holiday topic or something like that as the engagement post. And because for me, it's going to be the same thing as doing 5 fuelings a day every 2.5 to 3 hours and getting that into the rhythm of it for myself. And so I just created it in my calendar because I had some time, and I said, okay, so how are you best going to use this? And
it's easy to drift, you miss a day or two and it's easy. Now you're like, holy smokes, it's 5 days. I haven't done it
right.
yet.
that's
Melanie,
awesome.
did you have something to add, Melanie?
Yeah, I wanted to share a takeaway that I had and then follow up with a question. My takeaway is that it has completely changed my attitude towards social media for the better. Before Optavia and certainly before coaching, I was trying to reduce the people that I was friends with just to, kind of manage my relationships better that thought. But this has really pushed me to make new relationships with people and actually embrace like the concept of what social media is, like the actual term social media is to be social, not to try to cut social, activity. So it has definitely pushed me to engage with people and it's helped me reconnect. I have 4 health assessments this weekend, because of it. So I'm pretty stoked. So it's definitely helped with my attitude and being very conscious about how I follow up with people and whatnot. So even just the repetitious nature of some of their like daily video posts in the Fast Track group helped solidify in my hard to crack noggin, how important it is to follow up and engage and create conversations and whatnot. So for that, I really appreciate it. And so I'm going to apply that from here on out. But my question that I had for you all is like not wanting to put all of my social media eggs in one basket, like Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, they're kind of one and the same nowadays. And I know like Larry, you've said that you've used LinkedIn. I didn't know if like anyone had any other social media outlets or platforms that, they interact with people with or have had success with.
I know within Optavia, I mean, what I was always taught, but I don't know that it applies, was generally pick one platform that you're comfortable with and really become an expert in it. And then once you're an expert, then you can, start to dabble or expand into other platforms, because we don't want to be trying too much. Sometimes the strategies are a little bit different with both. I will say trends that I see other people doing, I would say like Instagram Reels. Doing the Instagram video reels is very, very popular. And then some people I think are starting to use the Clubhouse thing from Apple. It's more of a podcast format, but I think that's more at a leadership level that people are doing that, or two of the trends I've seen starting to happen. But the whole Instagram dancing thing and the messages and whatever, that seems to be the wave. But I think, it's important to stay in your lane and what you're good at.
And you can copy and post too. So for example, again, if you do have another one, so for example, if you're on LinkedIn, I would kind of copy and post what you're doing in Facebook, you know what I'm saying? And just put it out there to get your brand recognition, so people kind of know over time what Melanie's about, what Melanie's doing. That may not be your priority as far as the one you're working all the time, but you will get hits from time to time, because again, it's a secondary social media platform that you're on. So, but don't overwork it. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, leverage what you have and materials. Now, LinkedIn's a little hard though. Sometimes, like I don't do the fully disclosed before and afters with people standing in their underwear. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that on LinkedIn. It's more of a business site, and stuff like that. And so I might get slammed for it, So I'll be a little bit more strategic in doing it, because it is more of a business only platform. So
Sure. Thanks.
You've seen those pictures out there, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I might not put like one of those crazy engagement posts on, LinkedIn, it's fun on Facebook, but I wouldn't necessarily do it, on LinkedIn. So it's just being strategic. Yeah.
Hey, Larry, thanks for saying that we don't know if this is, I don't know what exactly you said, but like if this is like best practice or research, like we're just doing the best we know with it. Because that was one of the notes I had. Somebody had challenged me to go through. So I have my first new coach, yay on that. Somebody had challenged me to go through the coach app that we have, the Let's Get Started. And so I've been working through that just so I can see like the information we're giving coaches. I'm coming back to Fast Track, so it does relate. But I had written in my notes yesterday, so it's the 8th tab down on the app. It's called Accelerate with Social Media, and they give in that app a 30-day action plan. But the action plan does not match Fast Track. And so it was one of my questions, like I actually wrote in my notes, is this method researched versus Fast Track? So I think, that helped me clarify, it doesn't really matter what plan we give these new coaches to use, like Fast Track is great, or the app, whichever we want to, but that we're just doing it, right? Like that we're just on.
Right. There's a couple different ways to skin a cat, like what we're looking to grow. And the one thing I love about that app is, did you notice it's the 8th thing on the app? I think sometimes as new coaches or whatever, we think, well, the only way we're going to build is through social media, but that one starts with, let's make a list. Let's it's the approach, identify, approach, whatever. And then, here's what you could also do, so I think I'm really glad that you brought that up. And then again, that 30-day strategy might be something to work on next month for something a little bit different, Yeah.
That's a good idea. I could try it to see what they're telling our coach, our new coaches to do, follow that format for 30 days and see. So, because
each one of these, this is what's interesting. So we have Optavia Corporate, right? And we have Optavia Corporate, what corporate releases for training. And then we have fields, and we're considered the field. We're the coaching team, right? And so then there's the Valentine team, and there's the, whatever. Each one of these two things we're referring to, the app and Fast Track, were developed by field teams. So these were just leaders that developed this for their team that said, hey, this is working for us. If you'd like to tap into it, you can use it.
There's stuff that's developed out there that we look at and we don't like. We don't like for numerous reasons. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm not saying this could be outside of social media as well, but it's just like, it's not who we are, very very pushy, that kind of stuff. And we're like, we're not
Not the
about that.
culture we wanna
Yeah, the
be.
culture we want to be.
Mhm.
So again, when we look at these things, we kind of say, is this,
Kind of vetting it.
yeah, we vet it to make sure, again, it kind of doesn't turn you guys off. If it turns us off, we're thinking it turns you guys off, that kind of stuff. But everybody's got their own style. And then with social media, it also changes too, because the client, we all know, and we're clients, right, can be fickle, based on whichever way the wind is blowing in the world, so that's hard. It's hard. You're almost trying to skate to where the puck is going, not where the puck is, because as soon as you focus on where the puck is, it's gone. So it's like, it's hard, but I think we're having some traction though, with this, as far as, again, growth and what we're seeing as far as connections and stuff. So.
Mhm.
Hey, super grateful for the stuff that you guys go through and weed out for us so that we're not doing that on our own and trying to figure out what will work. So really grateful I'm sure there's a lot of it that gets tossed. So appreciate your work on that.
Thank you.
By the way, Connie, you look like a queen because where you're sitting with your, I like it. I like your crown.
Thank you.
So I would like to just share, I'm normally quite quiet and often invisible, but I feel like it's in part of, which is not really my nature, so it's kind of curious, but I just wanted to pop on, and it's a little bit of personal accountability and celebration because my commitment with the fast track was primarily to reap the benefits of consistency. And it wasn't so much about client acquisition, which I know ultimately is the goal with transition and transformation, which I'm wildly passionate about. And I've had to move through so many of my mental constructs and belief systems. So it's almost like not that I set the goal low, but I was like, okay, because I wanted to build that confidence of like, let me just be consistent. It wasn't about a number, it wasn't about this. And I wanted to know like the proof in the pudding. And I second like the gratitude of thank you for fleshing this out. And like, it's an amazing system. And what I've noticed is so much more activity on my social feed and building of confidence. And I even shared with my coach, Carol, this morning, how much more fun, like it's actually becoming fun on social media and not something of a to-do. And that has really been a delight and a motivating factor. And I also want to acknowledge, and I recognize my own, I take full, well, let me see, do I take full responsibility for that? I do. Like, I've actually lost more clients this week or this month than gained, and that's okay. And I want to acknowledge the ebb and flow of that. And Dee, you said something last week that was really important, and I've struggled with this. And it was, like everyone's like, yay, and I'm above the line, and I'm in motion, I'm in fat burn, my business is growing, and everything is like boom, and I'm just like, not my reality, like struggling over here. And I love that you kind of acknowledged for that, 1% or however many are, like, I get that this is not everybody's reality, and there's seasons and there's places, and it feels a little emotional because, wow, I think I really judged myself on that, and thinking even as like coaches, we need to be all on, and I'm like, oh, and there's all this junk that doesn't need to be aired, weeded but not aired. But I really, yeah. I didn't know that was there. Sorry.
Thank you for your transparency. Comparison is a hard place to be. I've been in that place, and it's not often our reality. And there's, who knows what's happening. You're doing the work, right? And we could also look at this as, so this is new, you're planting seeds, right? Your harvest will come. And it's in the consistency around it. So, but I commend you that you entered this with the goal of nothing more than to show yourself that if you committed to something that you could do it consistently, and you've seen the return in terms of the engagement, right? And the whatever. And what that does is that's building trust, and that's building a love for Heather on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that if you continue this, that you would see the benefits coming with it.
And I would just add, Heather, from a business perspective, we have a lot going on, don't we? Right? We've got a potential new coach explore, we've got a potential new client, or we have a client that goes off program. We have a lot of different plates in the air, and we're juggling them. So at the end of the day, you have to kind of, and I know you do this, right? So just breathe in. I'm doing the best I can with what I got today, and you're going to grow in certain directions faster than others because you may address them. We know the obstacles the way, and well, I want to get better at that. But again, at the end of the day, try not to be, hard on ourselves, right? Enjoy the ride, enjoy what you're doing from that standpoint, and it'll come. It's just like you said, you're planting seeds. So.
I'll share a story with you, Heather. Dan Bell does a call on Monday nights that it's called the ILAT call. And it was developed for people that were looking to go on the incentive trip that it was being offered a particular year. And I was like, well, I definitely want to be on that trip. This was several years ago. And I'm going to, go to this call and get motivated. And I would go and then somebody go, I had 8 health assessments last night. And I signed up 4 clients and I signed up this. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't sign up any clients and I didn't sign up anything. And it was shutting me down. It was just shutting me down. But guess who was on the incentive trip because of her consistency? And most of the others on the trip weren't, so if I had let all that noise get to me and not stay in action and doing the rhythm and doing what I know works, you know what I mean? I'm this like dark horse over there that's just going. That's what creates winners. So sometimes you see this flurry of activity around you and you could think you're failing, but you're really not. It's all in the consistency and continuing to move forward.
Doing to do.
Thank you.
I love that you shared that, Heather. I don't know you, but you're right. It's like all we see is, I had 5 health assessments from that this week, or I signed 3 coaches, or you'll see people promoting on the Coaches Up the Coaches Up for Change page. And all of that's great. And like, I love celebrating with people, but there are moments when comparison's the thief of joy, right? And so it's really not about what everyone else is doing. It's knowing that you showed up every single day on social media. And so just thank you for sharing that. And one of the things that you said that I really thought was just so raw and honest just now is you said you've lost more clients than you've gained this month. And like, what a reality. We're all going to experience that at some point. And so again, like, thank you for sharing that, because if we've experienced it, then we know we're not alone. And if we haven't, we know it's coming and we know we won't be alone then. So just thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Sure.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Other thoughts on social media? Fast track.
I'm doing a lot of talking, sorry, but one thing I was going to share with everybody, and Vicki, you had kind of mentioned, and I'm struggling that with this too, so I'll give my positive and then my struggle. My positive is, you know how we're supposed to be having 5 conversations a day, and in the video they mentioned doing this, but sometimes you have to hear it 2 or 3 times before you really hear it. So one way I'm doing that is I'm really searching out birthdays, and it's just a really easy way to wish someone a happy birthday, and they usually respond with thank you, which then opens the conversation to like, how are things going? And so it's starting to kind of move that. So I just want to give that as a positive. If people on here aren't doing that, it's really been good. And then my struggle, and Vicki, you mentioned it, is like finding 5 new people every day. That is really a struggle. And when I think about doing this again in April, I'm like, woo, it's really going to get harder. So, I'm there with you, Vicki, but if anybody has any suggestions, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to share on that, and then let others too, because I did that. I had done another program before this and it was 5 a week. And then I did the advanced version and it was, I mean, a week, 5 a day, then it was 10 a day. And then now this, and I was like, but it really did force me to get out of my comfort zone. I do love the wording that they offered in Fast Track about, hey, we don't know each other, but we have a lot of mutual friends or whatever. But something that was taught in another class I took was the power of joining groups and searching for groups that are just of personal interest up to you, things that you might be interested in, or think it's things in your community, moms groups, neighborhood groups, and becoming the person in that group that the admin would love. Like, you know, we like that in Eat, Live, and Be Optavia. Like there's somebody in there that's just posting all the time and whatever. And then as people, yeah, and you be an active commenter on other people's things. And you know how you can get that little banter going sometimes? Like, let's say we're in a group together, Jennifer, and there's a post and I put a comment and then you come in, I don't know you, and you come in and go, Dee, I feel the same exact way. That's so funny, right? Well, then I could potentially friend request you because now we've had a little banter. Like we don't even really know each other, but we know we've got this common interest in a group, you know? So I have met a lot of other people in some of the groups that I've joined. And I even for fun and kicks and giggles, put some of my engagement posts in those groups and then got the conversations going myself with those people and had a lot of people join in as friends. Does that help?
Yeah, can I share a quick story? So you know, again, this goes to that mindset, what's happening in your head when you're doing this. So there was a girl that popped up and, you know, I went to high school with her and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, yeah, I remember her. She was a soccer player and she was really good and, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, it was always one of those kind of, she was in 1 or 2 of my classes. I kind of knew her, but didn't know her. I didn't hang out with her and everything. But we were doing this and I was like, well, what do I get to lose? She doesn't have to accept the invite. What's the downside, right? Well, sure enough, she accepts the invite. And then she's like, oh, so cool to connect. So I said, you know, yeah, you were the best soccer player out there. And she goes, stop. I was never that good, you know? And, you know, we got this conversation going. And then the same thing happened just last week. Similar thing, girl from high school. I'm like, oh yeah, she was like, you know, one of those girls that was like in a serious relationship all through high school, you know, but I kind of knew her, you know, but I didn't, you know, kind of hang out or whatever. Connected right away.
Clicks are gone once you get out of
Right away. She connected right away and she's like, oh, how are you? You know, that kind of stuff. So you know, kind of, we get this thing going in our head. I'm like, is she gonna know who I am? Or, you know, what's going on? And it's just kind of cool because, you know, again, that was high school, but people want to be connected with people from high school, I think, you know, as far as, you know, as an avenue to connect with people. But I thought it was just kind of cool because, again, I didn't have that deeper relationship with any of those ladies when I was in high school.
I wanted to second what you just talked about in terms of like joining groups and commenting and creating relationships just through commenting. I've actually been watching my husband, who's like, he's my client. He helps me coach now and whatnot, but he's started getting super active in Eat, Live, Be Optavia, and, you know, commenting on everyone's posts and whatnot, telling me, hey, did you see what so did and what so-and-so posted? And I'm like, no. You know, he's creating these relationships, and every day these people are sending him friend requests. And I'm like, how are you getting people going to you versus having to figure out who am I going to friend or ask for a friend request today? You know, this is the guy that hadn't posted anything on Facebook in like years.
Yeah.
And now people are sending him friend requests. So, and it's like, I just started thinking about this last night. And then what you said, Dee, it makes so much sense. How important it is to just engage however we can. And then the other thing, which I find really well is, and I think it was in the Fast Track video today for day 25. Yes, today the 25th. Yeah. About using stories. Because if someone comments on your story, it immediately goes into like a messenger conversation. And then it's so natural to just respond. So sometimes that feels better because like they actually took the initiative to reach out to me first by commenting on my story. So like, oh, okay. So now I'm trying to like make sure that I kind of keep a little convo going. But that was definitely like, it took some pressure off, like, how am I gonna start an authentic convo, like, oh, they did.
That's awesome.
Can I stop
Oh,
the
sorry.
recording on this? We'll turn the time for you think?
Oh, we'll just finish the topic.
Oh,
So
okay,
you have
cool.
the topic. So go ahead, Heather. I'm sorry.
No, just a point of clarity, if I can. I am not short on words often, and I think I'm confused with the story. I love that when you say people respond to that, it goes right to Messenger. But what, like, is it a picture? Is it, because when I think of story, I think of words and I think of this, and I was told keep it short. And so what really is the ideal story to put there? Like, is it a post, a picture, an emoji, a transformation one? Like, please, like, tell me your genius on
The
that.
way I've understood it was it's intended to be kind of a behind the scenes with Heather. And like, so somebody said, like, let's say you were at convention and you were going to be on stage. Then this was the example that was given to me. And so, we know the picture's coming of Heather on stage, but a story could be a picture of the shoes, then a picture of the dress, a picture of Heather getting her hair done, right? The big reveal is your post on Facebook, but the story could be the stuff that was happening behind the scenes. But usually with my stories, what I do is try to do something to peek into my personal life every day. It might be what I'm cooking for dinner or what I'm eating for dinner. But I'll put up something inspirational up there. I always have a before and after in my stories, because I feel like if anybody's ever scrolling and sees my stories, they'll always see a before and after, but they're not going to see a slew of them on my news feed as well.
And these, just to clarify, it lasts 24 hours and you should be posting three different stories a day.
But if you're not doing any, start with one.
No, but that's
just start with one.
And they only last from 24 hours.
Correct.
Okay.
It stays out there 24 hours. And Heather, you have in your post, because I see your post. In fact, I saw, your picture from when you were what, 12 or well, how old were you there?
Oh, my senior photo, that was 18.
18. It was a great photo. So, but you do so much with nature and stuff like that. And oh my gosh, the pictures that you take are beautiful. That's a story, and you can put a little caption on it, reflecting on, my piece or where, that kind of stuff. And people love that. People love that. One more thing before we kind of wrap up the fast track, I wanted to go back to Melanie. Using your spouse partner as your marketing department is so great. Okay, because they have access to people that you don't have in your social media feed. And one other thing to consider, right, is when we do those vulnerable posts that say, I'm so thankful, I found this program, I feel great, that kind of stuff. Those are excellent to get your spouse to say a little something like, I'm so proud of my wife. She not only got healthy, but now she's paying it forward. Boom, throws that out there on his page. And like, what is she doing? That kind of stuff. And it'll get conversation going. So you can actually then look over his shoulder and help him drive while he's responding to it. But you know what I'm saying? It's a great way to get into that pond of people and kind of share that. So again, why not use them as marketing department? So, all right.
Absolutely.
Or type it in yourself, which is what I've done.
And just
Just
tag
go
them.
do that.
All right. Well, we'll stop the recording for the fast track, but we'll thanks for being here for you guys and for your endurance through this fun journey. And we'll turn it over to time for you.